Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, guys, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 68 for Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. How you doing, onesies? Listening again, 68 episodes in. The next episode, I'm going to giggle when I say the number because I'm still 13 years old. This week, I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff I did. It wasn't a super busy week, but I did a sports demo over the weekend. I've actually booked a pretty good one-nighter coming up in the fall. Did some new stuff at Absolute Comedy. You know, that regular plain old crap that I've been talking about doing for a long time. I did that. And this week, I have a super special guest who's going to be sitting in with me while I tell all of these really boring stories. I got my friend Vanessa, a.k.a. Red, regular listener. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, hey, girl, hey.
We had fun. We got to hang out a few times this week, and we'll talk about that over the course of the show.
I was actually really disappointed. I did realize that this was going to be episode 68, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah, you wanted to be on episode 69?
Yeah.
Well, I hope episode 69
Just
is really
because
fun.
it'd be ironic.
I'm going to try to think of
it
like...
totally doesn't apply.
I think it's going to be just a fun... I'm going to try to make as many perverse references as I can on that episode. So maybe that's one that the sponsors will not want to be associated with.
This week, we have no sponsors.
Actually, as a matter of fact, DK has several books on like Kama Sutra and Better Sex Life and stuff like that. So I don't own any of those books, but maybe just for fun, I'll be like, listen,
Lies.
it's episode 6. I swear to no.
I saw your room.
No, there's no 6. I have way more books on like eating right and meditating than I do on sex, which even in terms of myself mentally doesn't make sense. But
You have one of those spinning walls, you know, like when the girl comes over, it's like, these are my cool books. And
like the
these
McDonald's
are my
menus.
real life books.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at me. I'm super. And then they're like, oh, I was kind of hoping you were a freak. I'm like, push a button and the bat cave swings. Yeah, and the fucking ceiling flips too, and it's all mirrors. I'm like, I just have
And a disco ball.
that would be a great Dragon's Den idea. The only thing is you'd have to have like basically a double-sized house for all these rooms to flip over and just the clearance for the walls to spin. Stand back. So in terms of my week, I did the usual boring shit. I Ubered in the mornings. I watched Infinity War with Jason. That came out last week. I bought the Blu-ray. Have you seen those movies? Are you?
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, the new one? I'm like,
yeah. Well, it just came out on DVD.
no, but I mean, I thought there was a new one that I hadn't seen. And I was like, wasn't that like a million years ago?
Well, there's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Did you see that one?
Yeah, of course I've seen that one.
I don't know, man. Some people are like, I don't give a shit about that stuff.
Well, yeah. No, I guess I see a lot fewer of them than I used to, but because I have a toddler. But no, I saw that one. I thought it looked good. And I mean, I like Evangeline Lilly. She's pretty cool.
Okay.
I mean, she's Canadian. You got to support
Is she?
that. Yeah. Heck yeah, she is.
Heck yeah. Watch the language. You know I never have profanity on this show.
Never.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched Jay's one of those guys who's like, I don't give a shit about those movies. But then he watches them all. Like when they're on Netflix, he'll watch them all.
Yeah,
So
I mean, often I think Black Panther's coming, and I haven't seen coming to Netflix in September, and I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
But you saw Infinity War?
Yeah,
So you have no idea what's going on and what this Wakanda place is.
Well, I
why they
knew
had some-
people who saw Infinity War before I did, and I asked them if it mattered, and they were like, maybe a little bit, but you can kind of put 2 and 2 together.
I guess. I mean, you're like, Black Panther, I guess.
Maybe because I'm smarter than the average bear.
Well, I don't know. You don't know this. Whatever. And listen, you can see it, and I guess it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But
I mean, I've seen all the others. Like, it's literally the only one I haven't seen. So
it's probably the one that made the most money on its own.
yeah, well,
Okay. I guess
it
was Black History Month, and you're like, I'm sorry, I have splash pad wars to fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
No,
I've
it's
got
good.
real life problems.
Wow. Fuck you, Wakanda. You and your troubles.
No, but I mean, like, then watching another Marvel movie that I can watch when it comes on.
That's
Netflix.
what I live for. I'm only doing all of this grind just to the next Marvel movie.
Yeah. No, I've been there most of the way, but now
There's no judgment.
Other things.
I assumed that you hadn't seen any of them.
I unfortunately have other things.
Unfortunately.
Like sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm totally not going to get to see that. Like, oh well.
Going to movies are the only time I afford myself the ability to just sit and do nothing for like 2 hours. Because if you're at home, there's always something that needs to be done. I can't sit, we started setting up the podcast and my watch went off 3 times telling me reminders of things I'm supposed to be doing. Like you just can't be at home. Well, at least not myself. Sit at home and be like, I'm just going to fuck the dog for 3 hours and watch a movie.
Yeah, that's not my life.
It's not your life?
No, sitting and doing nothing.
Oh, yeah, of
3
course.
hours?
No, absolutely. Just the people who listen to this podcast. They're like, I'm just joking. You guys are all very productive people. I'm so proud of every one of you and what you're achieving out there.
Hashtag winning.
Winning. So yeah, I watched it with Jay. He liked it. He thought it was a good movie, even though he thought, he watches all the Guardian.
I loved it too. I like everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my god, this is so stupid."
Oh, you went to see it?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
It was like one of the concessions. I was like, "This one we have to see." It's like, the beginning of the culminating.
Right.
So yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is so stupid" at the end. And I was like, no, that was totally predictable and exactly what should happen. Don't you know there's going to be another movie?
Yeah.
Like they're not just going to end it here.
Yeah, it's their Empire Strikes Back.
So, yeah. No spoilers, but
Well, I think by now anyone who's like, I'm super interested, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like they're even talking.
I have a 2-year-old and I've seen it. You have no excuse.
Right? If you want to see it. If you don't want to see it, you're just one of those people who wants to get mad at people for spoiling things. And we still haven't spoiled anything. All right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just sit there and fuck off with your judgment. All right? I don't know. I liked it. And of course, now here's the thing. If you saw Ant-Man and the Wasp and you hadn't seen Infinity War, the post-credit scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp would make no fucking sense to you. Once you're like, what? They just dipped? It's like, that's rude to send your buddy into the quantum realm and then just fuck off. It would literally look like one of those Bugs Bunny and Tweety cartoons, just running away and then just dust behind. Yeah, exactly. Wow, they left super quick. And they had not dusted themselves
Nobody
off.
likes you anyways.
Right? No, we can totally bring you back from the quantum realm. Just go through.
It'll be okay, I swear.
So yeah, we did that. I went to the LCBO. Simon, listen, I'm making a lot of trips to the LCBO. I see an LCBO now, and I window shop there. I feel like it's like my shoe store, right? Chicks like shoe stores.
Sure.
Still, I still go back to 1980s references. Mm-hmm. I was going to say Nordstrom, but I don't
really
think
have those.
Yeah,
we don't have one in London, anyways.
No, we have one in Ottawa, and I hate.
Which is weird because we usually get everything in London first before Ottawa for sure.
Yeah.
So that was weird, but whatever.
I don't know. The mall got bought by Cadillac Fairview. They own a lot of big malls.
Oh, well, good for them.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
We just have Farhi.
All I know is Nordstrom is super expensive, so I wouldn't even go in there.
Yeah,
personally. Why would I go in there and be like, oh, because people are like, oh, I bought like a $1,500 handbag at Nordstrom. I'm like, you wasting your money.
Yeah.
Whatever. I can go off on fucking people buying shit.
Yeah, we won't open that can of worms.
You don't want to? Let's do it. No, I'm kidding. But did I tell the story in the podcast about I think I did the Salvation Army commercial about some people have nothing at Christmas, no food, no homes, and then I said that the very next commercial was a Nordstrom commercial.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't think that marketing department. If I was fucking Nordstrom, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, can you not advertise us directly after the whole, hey, have you got extra money to spare? Give it to the homeless this year. By the way, you can also buy 2 pairs of socks at Nordstrom for $600.
Yeah.
I assume. I've never been in there.
I don't think you stole that one.
No, I didn't.
Now you have.
Well, now I have. Yeah. You're welcome, everybody. That was definitely more of an episode 72 story. I like to do that. Predict the future.
Foreshadow.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I went to the LCBO with Simon. I picked up more wine. I'm up to too much wine now, guys. I have too much wine.
Yeah, I brought him a bottle of wine today because he told me he'd never had a South American wine, and so I was like, well, that's crazy. So I bought him, and then I was like, look at his stash, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess you didn't need that.
Hey, I'll still try it. Listen, I've been buying them because I spend all this time in the LCBO doing the tastings. And every time I'm there, I have nothing to do but stand there for 4 hours. And yes, I'm doing samples, but at the same time, I'm also looking around in the meantime. And I'm like, ooh, $4 off a $17 bottle. That's a good deal.
We have
Yoink.
John has a friend from like a long time ago who actually works at the LCBO that we go to like in our neighborhood. And so, yeah, that's kind of dangerous because every time we're there, he's like, we're like, suggest something. And so he'll be like, well, this and that. And so like now I have all these wines that I really like. And so now I actually have to think when I go to the LCBO.
Yeah. I've learned how to read the labels too with the sugar contents and everything like that.
That's key.
It just gives you an idea of what it's going to taste like too. Once you start to learn the grapes and learn what you like, then you're like, okay, and now I can tell whether I'm going to like this Pinot or not, whether I'm going to like this Baco Noir or not.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm getting stuck into a rut of drinking like the same thing every time.
So just force yourself to do something different. So your region, you like the South American stuff?
Yeah, I like the South American wines. Chile does a nice wine usually. Typically reds more than whites. There's one in particular that I like of a white, and I can never remember what it's called, but I know what it looks like exactly, of course. It's usually in the vintages section, but it's on the cheaper side, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, South African wines are really nice too.
Yeah.
So, or then I'll usually go with an Ontario wine just to be supportive.
Yeah. I like the VQA stuff for sure, which is Ontario for anyone listening outside of Ontario or Canada. Same thing with the LCBO too. Just that's, if you haven't picked up by now or you're new to the podcast, the LCBO is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That's our liquor stores here. So
yeah, just
that's what I'm referring to when I talk about that. I've found that the regions that I seem to like are Australia and California primarily.
Yeah, no.
So you don't like those?
It's really hit or miss.
Yeah. I mean, I've been lucky. I haven't tried a ton. I've only started expanding more and more.
I've been told I would like a New Zealand white.
Okay.
But
I like it too. It's very close to Australia. Mm-hmm. So I like the New Zealand stuff. I like the Australian stuff. I like California. And I do like the VQA stuff. You prefer your stuff drier or sweeter?
Like in the middle, kind of.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like full bodied or?
Usually, like for a red, usually a fruity, medium-bodied wine. But sometimes I can go full-bodied. But usually on the fruitier side, less with a red. With a white, usually less fruity, more dry.
Really?
Yeah, like more of the
Chardonnays and or not Sauvignon Blancs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even Sauvignon Blancs I don't like usually because they're they can be really just plain, like they have no depth to them. So Pinot Grigio usually is nice too. I
find that's a good one. If someone doesn't know what they like, I usually tell them to get a Pinot. Mm-hmm. And then if you find it, too sweet, then you can move, towards the Chardonnays and the Sauvignon Blancs. And if you find it's not sweet enough, then you move towards
because I like the Chardonnays because they usually have a little bit more body to them than a Sauvignon Blanc. But yeah, like the Chilean one that I like is a Sauvignon Blanc. So.
Oh yeah? I know Kim Crawford's been very popular. I got a couple bottles of that, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Nothing red?
No.
Fucking nothing? I'm trying to get you out of your shell. God damn it. This is red is feisty, by the way. You hear the feistiness in this?
Yeah, earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm going to try the one that you gave me, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I've been buying them, but not drinking them. I'm basically collecting and looking for, I have less occasions to drink them.
Yeah. Yeah, you need fancy friends.
No, I have to listen to everybody here. Jay's got a big collection of wine in the basement. It's just that I when I was in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, I was drinking reds by myself. I mean, I only got 2 bottles that week. By myself. And you know what? It was great. By myself. I didn't mind at all. In fact, if I'm going to drink an expensive wine, I enjoy drinking it by myself. But I didn't drink like a bottle a day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like 5 references that would all get me in trouble. No, I didn't drink them the whole bottle. I would just pour a glass. I was also out all the time too when I was there. So I'd pour a glass. I'd watch something. I was trying to watch Orange is the New Black. I finally got through that, by the way, season 5.
Yeah, I haven't started it.
Ever?
Well, the recent one. The most recent.
Yeah. I got 20 minutes into it when I was building something, and then I went upstairs.
Yeah, I have to get in the mood for it. For that.
You have to pay attention to it. Because they've started doing it in season 5, they started doing it while they were all talking Spanish to each other. So now it was all subtitles. Mm-hmm. I used to be able to put it on the background while I was doing something else, and I could just listen and I would know what was going on. Now that they're all, this is not a fucking racist tirade where I'm like, fucking Mexicans speaking Mexican. I'm like, no, if I have to be watching it to understand what they're talking about, go back and read it. And I was like, oh, that would have been a really big thing to miss, just assuming that, they're just running their fucking mouths.
Yeah.
You don't need to know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some shows I just need to be in the mood for. Like, yeah, that's one of them that I just need to be like in the right frame of mind to like put up with the shenanigans sometimes that I'm like,
they piss you off.
And I'm like, I'm too old for this today.
I hated when they started to make it all, and I've said this before, when they started trying to make it all funny. Mm-hmm. Like everything they said was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like to the point of like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys. Like everything they said was just like some flubbed up word or whatever. And they're like, oh my God. Like just the dumbest shit. I was like,
that's not my style.
I'm like, if the person's supposed to be scared, they're supposed to be scared of each other because it's a riot. Mm-hmm. And they're constantly saying something like, I couldn't take you seriously for 5 seconds. Right? Fix that shit. Anyways, apparently it's all been corrected in season. Like the first 20 minutes of episode 6, it got like real quick.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's all I've seen. So I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in. You're always welcome to send me an email.
Contact at One Podcast. I felt like that was like
I hope
was
that
coming
confused
next.
you guys good. I feel like this is the first time you were willing to write an email, and that flubbed up fucking address is why I'll never receive it.
Contact at onemanpodcast.com.
That's correct. You have a prize. You get to finish the podcast with me. Yeah, so I don't know. I watched. I finished that this week. I booked a really cool gig in Greeley. Don't expect anyone to know where that is. Except
I don't
people in
even know
Ottawa.
that is.
It's just south of the city, but it was the one I did last year with Frank Spadone, a good buddy of mine, Frank Spadone. Super funny comic from Toronto, and I'm still. The last 2 times I was in Toronto, Frankie and I were trying to make it work to do a podcast together. Just he's busy. His wife has a very successful set of dance studios in Toronto, and he's just constantly working at that stuff. So it's difficult. I got to give him more notice. Honestly, I'm kind of bad where like 2 days before I get to Toronto, I'll start messaging people. Who's available? And they're all like, I'm out of town doing shows elsewhere.
Yeah, the rest of us have a life, Josh.
You know what? I don't accept that, and I want you guys to fix it. But yeah, so I'm going to get Frank on at some point, but I did the gig with Frank last year. It was for like a bunch of business associations down in the south end of the city. It was amazing. That night we had, the table wine that they had was Ontario, and it was like a VQA Monarch Vidal. Super, super good. Cause at the time I preferred sweeter whites. Oh. It wasn't like Moscato sweet where it was just like basically grape juice, but it was sweeter than Pinot, but that was really, really nice. They also have a late harvest Vidal, but that won't be crazy sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
For anyone who knows, the longer the berries stay on the vine, the sweeter they get. Makes it tastier. So yeah, but I'm doing that show in the fall. I booked two amazing comics from Ottawa. So they reached out to me. They had a bad experience. Can I tell a story? Are you comfortable with me telling a story, Red? And
Sure.
feel free if you have any questions. If I say anything that you want to ask, want me to go deeper, you tell me. Okay.
Tell me your story.
So here's the thing. In Ottawa, there's this festival that originally started off really strong. It's called Cracking Up the Capital, and it was for like mental health and stuff like that. And the show that I saw,
That sounds messed up.
Cracking Up the Capital,
For mental health.
cracking up like laughing,
Why are we cracking them?
cracking up the capital, not
Oh, okay.
not the
That could
mentally
be
ill.
misconstrued.
It wasn't cracking up the mentally
Let's
ill
crack
in the
them
capital.
crack
No.
them.
Let's push them so far. It's like
Till they break.
It's yeah. They don't use electroshock therapy. They use laugh therapy.
Okay.
No, so it was cracking up the capital in support of mental health.
Okay, that's better.
I'm glad you had questions. I'm sure there was a lot of other people who were wondering exactly that too, and I would have moved right on.
Yep.
I would have given you guys. Wasn't it you 5 minutes ago? You're like, I'm smarter than the average bear.
I'm just helping everyone else.
That's so kind of you. What a compassionate person. So,
I know.
The first year that they did it, they had Deb DiGiovanni. They had Derek Edwards. It's 2 of those names I don't expect you guys to know. In fact, all of them I don't expect you to know. But if you take my word for it, some of the strongest acts in the country. Deb DiGiovanni lives in Los Angeles now. Derek Edwards is probably one of the biggest corporate comics that you can hire in Canada and the UK. He's just crazy funny. His cadence is insane. But and then Trent McClellan, who's been on the podcast before with me, and Joey Elias, good friend of mine from Montreal. Again, it just hasn't worked out for us to do the podcast together. But it was like those 4 people, and then the host was Pat McKenna from Traders, and he also played like the goofy nephew on the Red Green Show. So they had. Come on, you don't know
Sure.
the Red Green Show?
No.
It's a shit show. I didn't like it. But,
Yeah, no, I never watched
But
it.
you never saw the goofy little guy, hey, Uncle, whatever the fuck his name was, with the goofy thing?
No, I never watched it.
No, you're a bad person. To support Ontario wine, but you couldn't support like probably one of the number
Well,
one stupid Canadian shows that's out there.
I watch Rick Mercer.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice of you. Thanks. He's doing okay though. He doesn't need you anymore.
I know. It's because I watched.
The show's over, right?
Duh.
Well, speaking of Rick Mercer, and I'll get back to that in a
let's
second.
finish your story.
I am finishing my story, god damn it. Think we were in a fucking relationship, the arguments. So the Crack Up the Capitol, it started off as a really strong show. First one I saw was at the National Arts Center. It was the biggest stand-up venue that you could see anyone at in Ottawa. So they did a great job of promoting it. They brought in great acts. It was a great show. I saw that year. Joey Elias got me tickets for it. The following year, they moved it somewhere else to like a different venue. Then the year after that, they moved it to like TD Place and tried to make it this big thing. It went off okay. Like, and just some of the people, the main cogs that were in initially sort of moved out. But what they started doing as it was moving venues was they started to raise money for the big show by doing local amateur competitions. Okay. So they would do a show way out in Orleans. They do a show way out in Canada. They do a show way out in south of the city. So basically, they would go way out to the sides of the city, really small areas, and they would ask the comics to come and perform for free for a competition, so that the top 2 winners of this competition would be able to perform night of at the thing. So what they do is they get all these comics come out, work for free. They would charge something like $20, $25 a ticket to these events. But what they were doing is they were selling it as, come see the best comics of Absolute Comedy and Yuck Yucks. That's how these cracking up guys were selling it. And the problem was, big venues like the one I just booked the show at were like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah, come on out. And they would do a fundraiser or something like that night of, and they would bring all of the big people out. But the problem with having a bunch of amateur comics on a show is they're all talking about masturbating and cum and porn and stuff like that. And the people at these venues were like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? So they'd all just invited everyone out. It was a nice, dress up and have dinner event. And then it was like 10 people talking about their dicks and stuff. So when I went out to do the show with Frank, that was their impression, right? Everyone of these places wouldn't work with Crack Up the Cap anymore because they're like, well, we don't want to put those shows on at our venue. Like, that's making all of our clientele be like, what the hell was that? So they actually hired Frank from Toronto because they were under the impression that if that was Absolute Comedy and Yuck Yuck's best, we'll have to go outside of the city for our entertainment. So
fair.
Yeah. So after the show last year, myself and Frank, the owner, he loved it so much. He was like, I told him, like, you don't have to go outside the city. That was just, unfortunately, a company that sort of was misrepresenting what comedy was. So I'm telling that story more as a caveat emptor for you guys. Is sometimes when you get sold a show that's like, it's the best from blah, blah, blah. I'm like, just be careful. Especially if it's expensive and it's at a place that doesn't normally have comedy. And if there's going to be 10 comics on the lineup, odds are it's not that great of a show. So regardless, they contacted me this year, said, hey, let's put on a show. So we're going to be doing that in the fall. Jim McNally, great comic, great friend of mine. He's done, Winnipeg Comedy Festival, Halifax Comedy Festival. He has a Comedy Now special. Rick Curry, who...
You said Winnipeg and you had me lost.
Really? You don't like Winnipeg?
Well,
what's your beef with Winnipeg?
I don't have a beef with Winnipeg, but who goes to Winnipeg?
It's televised on the CBC, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. Okay. It's a televised comedy festival.
I don't know. I just don't like...
Wow.
When somebody says Winnipeg to me, I'm like, oh.
I'm sorry, where do you live?
I live in London, Ontario, but I haven't always lived there.
Oh. Well, guess what? The comics who perform at Winnipeg don't live there either.
And actually, we get more like concerts and better like things like that in London than we ever did in Ottawa when I lived here.
Yeah, I know, but we have a venue now. We have TD Place, and that's like a nice little 8 to 10,000 seater.
TD Place? Oh, okay.
The new one that was where Lansdowne is.
Oh, okay. I get you now.
Because that was the thing. That was the problem with stand. That's why we got, a lot of people didn't know that. That's why we got skipped over. Is that the biggest venue, like when I was talking about Crack Up, was the National Arts Center, where their main room is, if I'm not mistaken, I think 1,500 seats.
But we had like, who knows what it's called now out there in Canada.
Yeah, but the problem with that is it's 22,000 seats.
Yeah.
So if you have an act, let's just say like a Jerry Seinfeld, just a name that everyone would know. If you have Jerry Seinfeld come in, he can't sell out 22,000 seats. Not in Ottawa, right? So the cost for him to get the venue and all that stuff to try to make a profit off of it is going to be very difficult for a guy like that. However, you go to the National Arts Center, now it's 1,500 seats, and you're like, well, I can definitely sell more than 1,500. So yeah, you might do 3 or 4 shows there, but now you got to pay for 2 separate nights. You have to pay more. Plus, you have to perform 4 times, 3 or 4 times instead of once. So with TD Place being like 8,000, you don't have to sell it out, but you can put 6,000 in for one show and make the same amount of money for one show as opposed to having to do 3 or, pay for a larger venue or whatever it is. So that was the issue. And that works for music and everything too. That's why Ottawa was hurting for some of those big acts, because we didn't have the population to support, filling the Bell Center like they do in Montreal.
Well, yeah, like they do like Montreal and Toronto, and they're like, well, it's not really like people from Ottawa will just go to Montreal or go to Toronto if they really want to come.
Right.
Whereas London we have a larger pool we can draw from. We have like Windsor, Sarnia, Guelph, Kitchener, Cambridge, and then all the like small towns in and around London too, so.
As long as you have a place to put them, that's the big thing. Blues Fest is capitalizing by being...
Yeah, we have Budweiser Gardens, which is about 10,000.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's the thing. Ottawa was just hurting between that 1,000 and 22,000. It's kind of like, we need something in between, Having 6,000 people in a 22,000 seat venue is going to look really empty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that affects a show, regardless of how excited people are there to see them. It still affects a show. as a performer, walk out and be like, oh, 2/3 of this place is fucking empty.
Yeah.
You know? So that's more than 2/3. I'm not good at math.
Yeah. I have a math degree. I'm not good at math.
Do you? Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Well, I'm not good at algebra.
Oh. Well, it's all
like arithmetic. Like the basic stuff.
Now you're just dropping fucking names. You're name dropping math formulas.
I can do linear algebra and calculus, but the easier stuff.
I can't do that. Calculus, I know it's like an S with 2 symbols on either side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the extent of what I know about calculus.
Okay.
I don't need it for comedy.
I mean, I don't use it anymore. Like in my degree,
So it's like buying a Lexus and being like, I don't even drive
it's just what I do related to computer science. If I was in more of like, if I was doing like AI or graphic design or not graphic design, but like computer graphics or, vision with computers or whatever, like then yes, I would be using all that stuff, but not just writing code usually. No, unfortunately not.
See, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I look like I know computers, but I so don't. And I don't mind that.
Well, hardware and software are 2 completely different things. Like when somebody is like, oh, can you build me a computer? I'm like, no.
Oh, really?
I'm like, no, I do software. I couldn't tell you how to put a computer together. Like I could tell you like decent specs and stuff, but yeah, even then, like it's not what I...
If you can figure out code, I know you can figure it out.
I can figure it out, but yeah, it's just finding the time, right? And there's enough to learn in just like the software side.
Oh yeah.
That like, yeah.
Well, that's infinitely more complicated in my opinion than just plugging some hard drives and motherboards into a stack.
It just all changes so fast, right? That you have to keep up with it. So
not me.
One or the other.
I'm fine being a straggler. I ask smarter people than me. I go, how do I do this?
Yeah, well, that's...
They go, it's really easy. I go, relax with that really easy shit, okay?
Whoa,
it's going to be super complicated for me.
All right, so what else you get up to?
What else did I get up to? Oh, thanks. I like that you're keeping me on track here. So I did a tasting last week too at College Square. It was brutal. It was so dead and so boring. But that was pretty much my week. I went to on Friday. I went to the SAQ and I bought too much wine. But I'm not even gonna.
We talked about this.
That was I bought wine on. Oh yeah, was that what you were talking about? Yeah.
Well, because I made fun of you because you were like,
I did like 3 trips to the LCBO last week.
I can't afford a trainer anymore, you guys. I really have to cut it out of my budget.
That was weeks ago.
I feel like so awful and blah, blah, blah. And then like the next podcast, you're like, oh, guys, I was in Toronto and I dropped $300 on board games. Yep. And then like I got here and you're like, oh yeah. And I went to the SAQ and I dropped like X dollars on like way too much wine. I'm like, you know what? That between those two things,
I'm using calculus to find out. Yeah, I did the algebra on your fucking. No, well, so full disclosure. I'm only
totally calling you out.
No, that's fine, and I'm okay with that. My concern is okay. So, I did tell Red, and I'm telling everybody else. I did particularly well on my tax return. So prior to having gotten my taxes done, I was like, I am fucking tight. I don't know how I'm going to afford this LA trip. I got my taxes done. I did my HST for the first time, now that Uber requires that. And I actually got a sizable return. So I was able to pay off my trip, pay off my airfare, and then I had a reasonable amount left over. So
for your personal trainer.
For my personal well, here, this is the full disclosure part. This is the part that I'm a little about. So Mike, who I'm going to Los Angeles with, had told me that there is a promotion at one of the places around here, and I can't remember the name, but I'll text him in 2 seconds and get it back. Is they have an introductory offer for a personal trainer that's $100 for like 9 sessions. So that's my new plan. Is I'm going to go down there and I'm going to bang out those training sessions. That's economical.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Getting a trainer again. I was hesitant to say that because my trainer at Good Life, who is amazing by the way, outstanding. I believe listens to the podcast. So I didn't want to be like, hey man, I'm breaking up with you and I'm going to go find someone else. I'm just trying to keep the cost low. Clearly not by blowing a shitload of money on board games. I get it.
Yeah. Priorities.
Listen, we're not fucking married.
It's us with families that have to worry about these
then
things.
You guys have your families and shit.
Yeah.
I got a dream that's quickly filling. That's fine. I welcome it. So yes, I understand. I know there's other people too who are like, what the fuck, man? You said yes. There's lots of things I say. And guess what, fuckers? all of you, now I can't give you shit for this, Red, because A, you're coming to town and you do email it in. But if any of you guys are like, what the fuck? Because I'll see you and you'll be like, man, I was listening. And write me in, call me out on it when you hear it. If I say something doesn't make sense, listen, I have always led this podcast with, I'm going to be as honest as possible with you guys. There's times where I don't want to tell you shit that I'm ashamed of, and I do. There's times where I say I'm a good bitch and I've eaten well all week, which is true. But then, yeah, there's a night where I'll crush a fucking pizza. All right. You can only keep the depression wolves away for so long before you have a little sidestep. So I get it. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are out there. Listen, even when you don't write in, when I'm just out here mouthing it off myself, I tell you to keep myself honest with it. If I just pretend like all I'm doing is going to the gym and fucking running marathons and whatever the fuck is, I'm doing is eating right, whatever. Listen, it's a struggle. All right. I'm doing infinitely better. The scale numbers are the lowest they've been yet. All right. I put on a shirt last night before the show that I haven't been able, it's one of my favorite shirts that I haven't been able to button up in like 3 years. And it fit last night. Ooh. It wasn't snug, but it wasn't as much breathability as I would like. Like basically turn the wrong way and all those buttons get the
Hulk moment.
Right? Yeah. So I was just like, I don't want to be on stage leaning over to grab a drink or something. Just like, oh wow. There's horizontal lines in that too. Yeah, exactly.
Right between the eyes.
Turn it into a lawsuit. Exactly. So things are going good, but yes, there are little stutter steps. And you know what the thing is? I'm buying a lot of wine.
Soon you won't be a good bitch. You're going to be a skinny bitch.
I'm going to be a skinny bitch. Thin twat. Try to keep that. Alliteration doesn't work when it's TH, but there was 2 T words. Should be alliteration. You know what I did on Sunday. So I'll tell you what. I'll tell you about the Saturday. I did a Canadian Tire Pro Hockey Life demo all weekend. So I had to leave at like 7:00 in the morning and I'd get back at like 7:00 at night. Because we drove out to Pembroke, which is like 2 hours away. I always make fun of, there's lots of military in Pembroke, and I've gone there several times to do military shows where I tease them about how they can move. They don't have to live in Pembroke. Oh, yeah. As a people, I'm like, when the word broke is right in the name of your town, just leave. That's a pretty good indicator. This is not a good place that you should be. So we went to the Canadian Tire out there and we demoed a hockey product that I'm not going to name because they don't pay anything. So yeah, it's a hockey training device that basically it's a little sheet of synthetic ice that has lights underneath. Yeah,
we actually we went to the museum. Which one? Museum of Nature. Yeah, we went to the Museum of Nature yesterday, and they actually have that like fake ice in there, and like my son was just like enthralled with it for like 20 minutes, which is a long time for a toddler. Yeah, and he's just like,
can you skate on it or you just touch it?
No, it was like shaped into like ice, like so it was for like an Arctic exhibit.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like into these icebergs kind of, but they could like touch it and stuff. And he was like,
it wasn't
cold. And we're like, yeah, buddy, it's
cold. Was it cold?
Yeah, it was. It was like ice.
You sure it wasn't just an ice sculpture?
No, it wasn't, because it wasn't like melty. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's really cool.
This stuff was not cold at all.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it would be like the same stuff.
It might be. I can't remember even what they call it. It's like a polycarbonate or something like that. But the idea is it's like these 2 foam pads, almost like a child's play area with those big squares that are colors. You lock them in, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, it was like 2 pieces like that locked together. And underneath the ice was different LEDs. Yeah. So there's like an LED spot, and you have this puck that's got a sensor in it. And the idea is it teaches you how to stick handle on the ice, because basically the lights would light up in different areas. You have to move the puck over to it.
Yeah, and then it senses when you've reached the spot, right?
Exactly. When you reach, so you have like 45 seconds, and it would, see how many you can get in a row. It's basically like, think of it like a Guitar Hero for stick handling. Mm-hmm. But it was a really really cool thing. Expensive, but it's a big hockey town. So everybody was like, oh yeah, people are getting, high scores on it and stuff like that. I think I did pathetic because I've never played hockey, especially on ice. Never played any kind of hockey like that. So when I started off, I was garbage. By the end of the weekend, just from doing it over and over again, I had the second highest score of everyone who played. So that was kind of cool. Now, in Pembroke, but you should have seen, like, you'd have been impressed. Yeah. The only thing is, like, it's like anything else. If you just do it for 12 hours a day, 2 days in a row, you're going to get better at it.
Yeah, I don't know. Those, but like, who's buying that? Is that like people in Canadian Tire who would buy that?
Effectively, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because Pro Hockey Life is apparently a big deal. It's a very pro hockey store. They don't have one in Pembroke. So Pro Hockey Life is partnering with Canadian Tire. So they'll basically have like a section inside of Canadian Tires for that. So Pro Hockey Life is going to be the area that carries this. So it's a really good hockey trainer. Like while we were there was tons of kids getting hockey gear and pads and skates sharpened and everything like that.
Yeah, I guess
like,
it's that time of year too, eh?
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know either.
But it was cool. It was interesting to see like a town that was so into hockey. Like everyone would just walk in and be like, oh, look, can we try? And the skills that they had just fucking around. I was like, holy shit. There's kids on YouTube that you can see using this thing too that are like hitting the high scores. Like this one kid standing on a board on a medicine ball, like balancing himself on it while doing the thing. So not only is he balancing, but he's doing the stick. Unreal. All I know is a cool product. I got to fuck around with that all week. But that was pretty much my weekend. I got to see you Saturday night after one of these things. Rush back, change, go see you guys.
Super cool hotel restaurant.
That was a good time. I'm not gonna lie. I had a fun.
It was really, you look online at these hotels and you're trying to like assess where to stay or whatever. And like full disclosure, like my dad travels a lot for work, so we could stay there. We stayed there on points essentially.
Okay,
so
that's good.
I mean that's pretty sweet, but so it couldn't be too picky, like because it's only certain brands that it's with, right? So more I was thinking about location than amenities.
And that is a good location where you guys are at.
Yeah, and then and it had a pool too. So I was like, well, if we get super bored, then my son can just swim in the pool. So because he loves that. So yeah, but the restaurant was like in the basement, and it just made it awkward for because my son has to nap in the middle of the day, and we can't hang out in the room when he's napping. Right. So it's like, where do we hang out? I guess we have to go to the basement.
Well, it was this. What was it, like 8:00 at night or 7:30? We go down to this restaurant. There was like nobody there when we got there. The server guy was nice. James was his name.
Yeah, he was quite candid.
Yeah, he was like, at first I'm like, I don't know if he's just fun and silly or if he's socially awkward or whatever. Like it was one of those things where at first I'm like, oh, this guy's got a great personality. And then I'm like, oh, he is a little odd. Yeah. And then it was just kind of like back and forth between the two for me.
But he took a joke well.
Absolutely.
Like you did your typical like picking on him kind of thing, like comedy picking on him thing. But he rolled right with it. He
was a good sport.
Definitely.
He let us hang out there too, because I think that the place was closed at like 10. And we were just sitting shooting the shit. You guys had food. I was sitting. I think I must have had like 5 to 10 cups of coffee.
Shocker, folks. Josh didn't have any food.
Right? It's true. You're saying that like I'm lying right now. Shocker. He didn't have any. Nudge, nudge. I didn't. I had fucking 10 cups of coffee. Probably the equivalent amount of calories and creamers too. Yeah. But I had a good time. We were chatting about what was going on with you guys. I got to actually sit down and like have a real conversation with your husband, because I've met him like once, maybe twice prior to that. And it was with a big group of people. So obviously in his defense, it's probably more intimidating to be like, oh, these are all my old friends.
Yeah. And he's typically quieter than me anyways.
Is he?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're super quiet today. I don't know what your fucking problem is. No, I'm sure. No, it was nice. And he got really excited when he was telling us.
But like two loud people can't date. Like then you're just yelling all the time.
No, people take turns.
No, not with loud people.
No, sure there is.
No, they just yell over each other.
I was a loud person when I was. I'm trying to think if I was with anyone who was loud. It's hard to say. I can sit
or dominant personalities like usually have to be with like somebody more quiet just to like balance them.
My mother's crazy loud, so when I'm with her, I just sit there and just let her talk. So I can exist with someone who's loud, but it's boring. You know, like I'll call, when I used to call Crystal, I would call her to like ask her something. My mom would immediately jump in the conversation, start talking, and I'd be sitting there for like in the car for like 10 minutes while my mother and her talked. And then, Crystal would ask me something and I didn't even realize she was talking to me because I'm like, oh, it's not even. I'm like, so anyways, what did you want me to pick up from the store while I was out? That's why I called, and mom has commandeered the conversation.
Because she loves you.
No, she loves to talk. She doesn't even listen to the podcast. She does occasionally. She'll be like, I listened to that episode where you talked about that. I'm like, when the fuck was that? Like, that's the funny thing. I again, all of you who are listening now, I appreciate how long you've been listening. If this is your first episode, this is what it is most of the time. Usually just my talking to myself. As a matter of fact.
Talking to the wall.
Yep. Just sit and talk to the wall and occasionally glance down the notes and go, oh, I forgot to talk about that. But I've even lost my point. That's how fucking gone I am.
So Sunday.
Yeah, don't go to the beginning of the podcast. That was the point. is don't start at the beginning because then you're like, you make references to me like, oh, that one where you talk about, fuck, I don't know when that was.
Yeah, whenever I write
It's
you
one
an
of these every
email,
week.
I put the episode that I'm referencing, the number in the title so that you can like reference
It helps.
back.
Even if you just give more context, because you're like, a lot of people are good at just being like, hey, when you were talking about this, at least it's like, okay, I know what I was talking. But some people will be like, that episode where you said blah, and it's like a part of a sentence from something with no I'm like, okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or people who saw me at a show a year ago and then they'll come back again. They'll be like, oh man, remember when you said blah? I'm like, no, sorry. What was the joke? That's what they'll say. Not remember when you said and then give me context. Because that's cheating. They'll be like, hey, what was that joke you told last time you were here? I'm like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've told a lot of jokes
That'd
between
be
then
awkward.
and now. But that's what it is. It's like, what were you talking about that time about?
That
I don't
time
know.
where we're doing that thing.
If you can help me, fuck, I don't remember what I said yesterday. Do you know? For the most part. But anyways, yeah, Canadian Tire. I had fun hanging with you guys. We closed that place down. The guy
Sure did.
basically let us stay for like an hour and a half after they closed while he tied it up. And I was worried that he wasn't going to be like, hey guys, like I kind of got to go. Like I thought he was just going to sit there.
Yeah, I'm glad he told us to GTFO.
Yeah. You and your fucking keyboard slang. I don't know. I had a good time. It was nice hanging with
slang.
you. GTFO.
Yeah, that's
That's
an old
all.
school
That's all
one.
acronyms.
I know, but it's old.
Is it old? Okay.
Yeah,
We're old.
I know.
Older. I got nothing on that. It's just melancholy. That's
Yeah.
all I got. I'm like, I'm old now.
Yeah,
I
my son's
still-
gonna say things one day that I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Can you please say that in English?
Oh yeah, but then they'll just look down their nose at you. It's just,
Yeah.
we did the same thing.
That's fine.
That's the worst. I don't feel a day older than I did in high school in terms of maturity, but I'm like, but everything hurts when I wake
Yeah.
up now.
I don't know. I recently got a new car, and so it has Sirius in it. So I've been listening to Pop 2K because that's my jams.
That's your jams.
And but sometimes like the hardcore rap stuff will come on from that era, like the Eminem and the who was it, like
Ja Rule.
Ja Rule, or what's the other one?
I was listening
Get
to Ja
Low.
Rule. Get Low?
Yeah,
It's a person?
no, it's the name of the song. But
Shorty
I
got
can't.
low. That one? She got the apple
From
bottom jeans.
from window to the wall.
Oh, that's isn't that like Lil Wayne or something? Or Little
yeah.
It's one of the little
Anyway, so yeah, but sometimes I'm
Lil
just
Jon,
listening to
Lil
it,
Jon.
and I'm just like, I start to like cringe internally, and I'm just like, I just can't listen to this anymore. It's just so wrong.
It's yeah.
Like
well,
whereas when you're a kid, you're like, yeah,
skeet.
yeah, and you're just like, now I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I can get on board with this anymore.
Yeah, Chris Rock had a great bit about that. About how did you ever hear that bit? Where he was
No.
talking about how like, oh, it was so funny. He was talking about how like hip hop music says like the worst things about women in it.
Yeah.
And women love it so much. He's like, if the beat's right, the bitch dance all night. He'd be like, fuck her in the eye, fuck her in the eye, fuck her in the eye, skeet. Like,
Yeah, no.
and chicks
Now I'm
just
just
dance
like-
to it the whole fucking time.
You know, my son's in the car. I'm like, ooh, switch the channel.
Yeah. when Mickey, so I think Kesha, somebody, that's a person.
Yeah.
When Kesha had this album where it was like, one of the songs was like, see you next Tuesday. Everyone knows what that is. She was a see you next Tuesday. Then another song was grow a pair, PEAR. If you grow a pair, I will call you back. Like it was it was pretty direct. But the thing was Mickey, like it was all PG. You just have to know the fucking terminology.
between the lines.
Right? Well, so Mickey would be walking around the house like 4 or 5 years old. If you grow a pair, I will call you back. Like shit
You're
like that.
"Ugh."
And after a while, we're like, she's not going to listen to that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Can't ever walk. Because
What happened
everyone
to that
else.
CD? I don't know.
Yeah. Everyone, well, their teachers would be like, so she was saying if you grow a pair, I'll call you back. Don't want you no more, boy. Like that kind of shit. It's just fascinating to me. That's music now. Aaron, my brother, this weekend while we were
That's
doing
music since always. Have you ever listened to a Beatles song?
No, I hate the Beatles.
Yeah, they're messed up.
Are they?
Yeah, like if you listen to them
Well,
as an
they're
adult,
British.
like you're like really? Like I like that at like 7?
I never
it's
grew
'cause
up listening to them,
it's
so
like
I didn't get it early.
Catchy.
Yeah. They listen. They have some great songs, but in terms of like Beatles being the thing for me, like I get all that they did. See, the thing too is I'm not a big Seinfeld fan.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I get why people find it funny, and I totally understand it. I just
Seinfeld
don't like it.
wasn't our
myself.
generation, really.
Well,
like it was for
maybe
people
not
a little bit older than us.
Yeah. Well, I never dug
Like,
the show, and I never dug the.
Our
the
generation
stand-up.
was more like Friends.
Ugh.
Well, but I'm just saying, like timeline wise.
Fair. Well, Seinfeld was on. I had an opportunity
it was on,
to watch
but
it.
we were just a little too young.
I watched Frasier. Frasier was around that time. I wasn't too young for Frasier. All I know is that like there's things out there that everybody looks at as like the most iconic thing, and I was just like, it wasn't for me. I get it, and I get why other people like it, but not for me. Hey, I have great news. You want a great piece of trivia? Big Bang Theory is done.
Oh, really?
Thank God, eh? No, I'm just
it's been a long time.
But they've decided to like the last season, or they're not renewing.
Yeah, I
it or
haven't
some
watched
shit.
it in a while. Like I was pretty like on track with it when it first came out for the first. It was like 7-8 seasons.
Yeah,
I don't even know what they're at now. But yeah. But then I don't know, just something. It just at one point we just stopped watching. So
yeah. Well, that's what happens with shows sometimes.
It's just too much to watch.
Yeah. I don't even, again, I don't really.
And
like,
John's the kind of
changes.
person, like, as soon as he sees one episode that he doesn't like,
he's done.
He's done.
Okay.
Like, as soon as it's like one episode that's like, that's stupid. Why are they doing that? And he's like, no, that show's stupid. We're not watching anymore.
Don't fart in front of him. Then he'll be like, we need marriage counseling right now. This is on its last legs.
Yeah,
I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I want the nice.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't melt. I don't know. I find that movie shit, that stuff. My brother was telling me about something when we were working together called like, and I'm going to get it wrong. Aaron can message me and correct me, but it's something about like the bop, not the Hanson song, but there's like this thing in music called like the something bop, whatever. It's like this series of notes that has been in like every single pop song since like the 90s. And it's like this formula. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no. Well, there was something that I watched. Like it was on YouTube or something where they took like a bunch of popular country songs like of that time and they like played them on top of each other and it was literally the same chorus. The chorus was like the sound, like all the notes were exactly the same, just like the lyrics were different, or like the tempo was maybe a little bit different, but like the notes themselves were all the same.
Well, he was saying that like there's this little sound that all songs were somewhere in the other have put into it. Like the example he used was that you know the California Girls by Katy Perry. You know, something melt your popsicle. Ooh oh ooh oh oh ooh oh ooh, oh. Like that sound, that ooh oh ooh, oh, that is somewhere either in note form or lyrical in every pop song because that particular thing hits a chord in the brain of just like fun or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, music is science too, in a lot of ways. Like, you know, most art is in some way scientific too. Like different kinds of art people will like art because it for the same reasons why people think other people are good looking. Right. Like it's all about symmetry and like
I like art with big tits, which is why I find people attractive.
Exactly. So you know, so it just like, you know,
that's why I enjoy Playboy. Playboy is art to me now.
But of course, artists don't like create art based on this science, right? Like they're not about that. But the truth is
something
that like
subconscious.
Yeah, we like certain art over others because of science.
Well, and the thing too is that there's so much industry on art. K-Trev was talking about this in his episode about how like when he went to do Kimmel, they were like, do this part of this joke and do this part of this joke. And he's like, well, that's not even the joke. Like, that's just a line from the joke. And they're like, yeah, but just do that. So once, as soon as the business part comes along, right? That's why everyone's like, oh, I liked them before they were big. It's like, well, that's probably when they were doing what they wanted to do. You want some wine?
No, I'm good.
You're all out of coffee?
No, I'm fine. I was drinking tea.
Fine. Fuck you. Yeah, the people do what they want to do until someone comes along and goes, hey, we got a budget for you, but we need you to do this, this, and that. As soon as you start editing, and I don't want to even say censoring, but as soon as you start, editing art, you know, or putting an agenda on it, you're like, it's like, hey, Kesha, we're going to need you to show more tits and ass. And if you could write all your songs about fuck guys,
well,
that would be great.
They did that to her.
Well, that is
there like a whole like lawsuit against
Oh, I
her
wouldn't
manager
know.
or whatever. Yeah.
Oh fuck! I just picked her because we were talking about it earlier. But I'm saying any of these young little pop stars, like I'm pretty sure they all aren't like, hey, is there any way I could do a concert in a see-through leotard to basically sell my body and has nothing to do with my artistic integrity whatsoever? Not to say that they have really all that much of it, anyways. And same things these guys like Justin Bieber or whatever, walking around.
Justin Bieber.
I don't fucking know anything. I'm aging. I'm showing my age.
I don't know anything either.
But whatever, pick. I don't know. You can make something up, and someone might be like, "I've never heard it." My listeners are probably not. Yeah, The Weeknd. That's a stupid fucking. I can't even get started.
Yeah, let's not go
but
there.
they're not selling that. Like that's the thing is, I find as I get older, I start to like jazz and classical and stuff where I'm like, oh, I can hear the instruments being played now. I enjoy that. But yeah, sorry, I don't even know what got us on that tirade. Yeah. I did the hockey thing. That's the last thing I can remember talking about. And then on the second day, I hung out with you guys. We were talking about that.
And then on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, you do the hockey thing again.
Right. I'm not even going to talk about it this time. But I did that all weekend. That's all I did. I got a break in between to see you and John close down a shitty restaurant in a Best Western. And on Sunday night, I came home and I built a wine rack. Because like that Wayne's World line, he's like, I don't own one gun, little own many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. Mm-hmm. Well, now I own many bottles of wine and I had nowhere to put them. I was running out of surface space. Yeah. So I built a rack.
C'est la vie.
I watched the rest of Orange is the New Black season 5, and I built a wine rack. But you know what? So this was my reasoning, not only for storage, but I was like, this is going to be the rack. When the rack is full, no more buying wine. You have to start eliminating bottles before you replace them.
Good plan.
I need structure like that. I need something to visually that I can go, rather than being at me like, I need more wine. I don't know if I have any fucking
I don't know if I have enough. The world might end tomorrow and I don't have wine.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like, oh my God, did I make sure I got enough Chardonnay? Yeah. I don't have any Chard right now. So yeah, whatever. I built that's what I did. I built a wine rack on Sunday. Yesterday was nothing but Ubering. I had lunch with my mom because I happened to be in her area. She gave me a call and was like, yeah, let's go for lunch.
Do it.
Nothing special. I did podcast. Oh, and we had the show last night at Absolute Comedy. I did podcast prep so that we could do this today. But and as always, guys, recording on Tuesday morning. Oh my God, this is gonna be the first Tuesday where the podcast isn't looming over me all day. Yeah,
I forced Josh to get this done early so I can get on the road.
That's right, driving back to London, Ontario.
Yeah.
But we did the show last night. That Toronto traffic. Yeah, if you guys can just, this would be too late. It's like, if you guys just stay off the road today, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All my Toronto peeps. But we did, I featured at Absolute Comedy last night for the Open Mic Monday show.
Yeah,
you and Steph came
funny,
out.
guys.
No.
Yeah, he was picking on people. It was funny.
Why do you say picking? I was having a conversation with them. Just because they weren't able to keep up at my level. Yeah. Conversation. There was this one kid in the front row.
Guy, though.
Oh, there were so many fucking people last night that were like, it was frustrating. They were chatty. They were on their phones. And I was up at the end of the show and most of them had like half the table of the worst group had left. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even get a chance to shit on them to their face. Yeah.
And there were just like a bunch of people who just different walks of like different styles, I guess. They were rocking their style.
Yeah.
Like
the
it
personal
definitely
trainer
wasn't
with wearing a tank top and nothing else at night.
Or the guy with like dreads dressed all in white.
Yeah, looked like a pimp. Y'all my bitches. Y'all my bitches.
Yeah, he was a trip.
Yeah.
And then the guy who kept like putting his hair through his girlfriend's hand through his girlfriend's.
I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I forgot.
Doing it
all night?
No, he was doing it in the middle of your set. And I was like, oh my God, please notice.
Yeah, there was a guy who was sitting, because when I was chatting with Red and her friend Steph earlier, there was a guy sitting directly in front of them and he was just running his hands like up the back of her skull and then running his hands out down her hair.
Through her hair.
Just out and like combing her hair with his hand.
Yeah, like over.
Not like once or twice, like, oh, I love your hair, it feels nice, and then stop. It was just over and over and over again. And I was like, that guy, I'm like, it's either brand new, but she had a ring on, right? Look, either engagement or wedding. So I'm like, it's either incredibly new, but that seemed to have squashed that theory. Mm-hmm. I'm like, or he's just incredibly insecure. Or you know what? Maybe they're just like the only two happy people.
Love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the least likely
gross.
scenario. Ew.
My name is Sarah, Sara, because H's are ew.
H's are girls. And they cost more to have engraved. It's more money for something else. Yeah, you know what though? If they were happy, they probably wouldn't need a laugh on a Monday. You know,
Yeah.
they're like Mondays are their happy day. Everyone else's Mondays. They're like, no, Mondays are our fingers through the hair day.
Yeah. For them.
Well, hey, they're together for now. You know, if I go back next week and they're not there, I'm going to assume they broke up.
Yep.
Just because they're not there.
Yikes.
Yeah. But anyways, I had a good time last night. I did get a chance to get some new jokes
and
out.
the other guys too were good too. Like the
amateurs
leading up to you, they were pretty good too. There were a couple awkward moments, which is to be expected, but like,
right.
But you know,
for $6, it's not bad.
They were pretty good.
Yeah, it's a $6 show, guys. Half the price of a movie.
If you are one of them, congratulations.
Yeah, some of them do.
You win.
I drove not one of the ones from last night, but one of the amateurs in the city. I drove him this morning in Uber, picked him up, and he's like, I get like a block down the street without having even looked at him. He's like, Josh. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Didn't even know it was you, buddy. I was just trying to get this over with.
Yeah.
Like every Uber ride. Can I tell you how different it feels going on stage, making people laugh, coming off? And people are like, oh man, that was great, blah, blah, blah. And then like you're just the Uber driver and they don't even look at you. They just pull out their phones. They don't even say hello. And I'm like, not that you're supposed to give your Uber driver a standing ovation or anything, but they're still a person. Like when I get an Uber, I'm still kind and polite.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say thank you at the Tim Hortons drive-thru.
Yeah,
of course. Most people don't do that.
No, I say, listen, I go into a restaurant. I don't care if it's, you know, I'm trying to think. I don't go into McDonald's, generally speaking, or Harvey's, but like a Subway. If I go into Subway and I get a sandwich, I sit down and eat it. Before I leave, I go, thanks, guys. And I just cost me nothing. A little bit of gratitude. You know, look, it's a job that none of us want to do. So why not make the job that someone else is doing a little bit nicer? Keep them in that position so that, you know, we still have drive-thrus
so that guy
and
in the
fucking
front row
Ubers.
doesn't make the AI bot to...
Right? There's a guy last night saying, I work on artificial intelligence. So if we kill you right now, it won't take us over. I read that statistic somewhere the other day about that thing I said about like 90 to 95% of people. Oh, it was in the bathroom reader. It said 90 to 95% of people by 20 whatever will not have like they're building robots to automate 90% of jobs. So like if your job, I think it was, I'm so sorry. I think it was if you make less than, I think it was like 20 or somewhere between $16 to $20 an hour. If you make less than that, then there's a 90% chance your job will be taken over by something automated.
Yeah, but that's why we need universal income.
Oh, shit. Preach. I don't know.
Yeah. And Ford, who goes and cancels these things.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah, well.
That's, yeah, if you don't know who Ford is, he's a big fat fuck whose big plan to numb the masses is like, I'm going to make everything buck a beer.
Yeah, I know.
If that's not a ploy to distract
I'm
people.
like, what are we on The Simpsons? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, haha, guys, I just want beer. Like,
oh, it's to distract us. Oh, yeah, let's just get drunk all the time.
Like,
and we won't pay attention.
I'm so confused.
It's so fucking stupid.
Like, let's cancel all, like, our climate change, you know, diversion things that we've put into place so that, you know, our whole planet doesn't die. But,
right.
but you can have a buck beer. Like, that'll solve everything.
It's stupid. And I really,
Let's not get on this
when
tirade.
people were saying, yeah, I know, seriously, you guys can look it up though. There's enough shit going forward there. But that was my week. That was basically it. Was
Ta-da.
do tastings, Uber, the fucking long weekend.
Hanging out with the best person ever.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to see you on Saturday. I'm glad I got to see you last night, and I'm glad that you're doing this with me now.
Yeah.
You know, you're only the second person who's ever sat in on a regular episode. I've done lots of interviews with just about that person. But to sit and be a part of it, oh my god!
Yeah, and it almost didn't happen because we were worried about Toronto traffic. But
yeah, well, I'm glad we made it happen. I wasn't super disappointed that I wouldn't have to set all this stuff up.
Whatever.
I'm glad you're here. I was looking forward to it.
Yourself to sleep tonight.
We're having technical difficulties right now. But no, I'm glad that we got to do this. And now you get to be the first person to come through and do the sponsors with me. Are you ready for this?
Uh-oh. This is my favorite part.
That's right. The part that you and my partners at portablepress.com absolutely love is Uncle John's bathroom readers. So I actually picked an article. It doesn't really have anything to do with the week or the weekend, but it's called Dumb Crooks. I really like these ones. These ones always make me laugh because they're stories of dumb crooks. So here's proof that crime doesn't pay. And this is, of course, from Absolute Comedy. How about that? Uncle John's Uncanny Bathroom Reader. All right, the article's called Dumb Cooks. Look, the first part is dumb as a post. If you ever make 250,000 pounds on a drug deal, resist the urge to post a picture of yourself and your piles of cash on social media. A 24-year-old Albanian criminal named Olsi Behululi, thanks for making the fucking name hard, couldn't help himself. In 2014, he tweeted an incriminating selfie from his flat in England with the caption, "I love my job," and then $7 signs.
Dollar bill, yo.
Yo. Unfortunately for oh God, I have to say his name again. Unfortunately for Behululi, his post made the National Crime Agency's job a lot easier. After seeing the photo, the cops set up surveillance on Behululi, and a few weeks later, they arrested him and 2 other men during a raid in which they seized the cash along with $4 million worth of cocaine and heroin.
Can you imagine being those 2 other guys?
Yeah. They're
Fuck,
like,
dude.
What were you doing, man? Why the hell did you fucking get us in that? All right, you're up,
my
yo.
turn. Waiter, there's a guy in my soup. Strange noises were heard coming from the ceiling of the Hibachi Grill in Daytona Beach, Florida in November 2015. The manager, B. Lou, went to his office to check the security monitors, but instead he found wires dangling from the ceiling and broken ceiling tiles and a pair of flip-flops on the floor. Lou immediately called the police. While he was on the phone, all hell broke loose in the dining room. Ceiling tiles rained down on patrons, followed by 30-year-old Justin Grimes, who landed on one of the diners, then got up and tried to run away. Another patron grabbed Grimes and held him until police arrived. Grimes claim he was hiding in the ceiling from his ex-girlfriend. Skeptical, officers quickly pieced together what actually happened. They say Grimes had gone into the bathroom, locked the door, and then climbed through the ceiling to get to the office. He tried to open the office safe, but couldn't. So he went back through the ceiling to the bathroom, but took a wrong turn and ended up over the dining room. Grimes was arrested and charged with felony burglary of an occupied structure. Before paramedics took him to the hospital for lacerations and bruises, he asked the officers if he could have his flip-flops back. They said no.
That's fucking hilarious. Cold case. In 2015, police officers went to Szechuan Garden Chinese restaurants in Brighton, England, at about midnight to investigate reports of 2 suspicious men inside. When the cops went in, they heard voices, but a quick search turned up nothing. Undeterred, they began a more thorough search. An officer opened the door to a walk-in freezer, where he found Dene Temple and Stephen Fiddler shivering away. The door had automatically locked on the outside, trapping them inside. If the officers had given up and left, the 2 burglars would have frozen to death by morning. Chief Inspector Dave Padwick boasted, "When my officers found the suspects, they were expecting a frosty reception, but the suspects were actually very pleased to see him." How about that?
Okay. Real mature there, guys. In 2015, Megan O'Hara, 24, and David Zagowski, 19.
It's not easy, eh? They have the fucking
went
weirdest
to an
names.
art gallery in Palm Beach, Florida. Why are both of mine in Florida?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
I just staggered.
But they
them.
weren't there to take in the art. Instead, they stole a bracelet and a ring off the gallery owner's desk. Before they made their getaway, however, O'Hara and Ziskowski wrote some fake names in the guest book, which actually included O'Hara's first name and her phone number. One of the email addresses they gave was wedidn'ttake@gmail.com.
Jesus.
And there was a crude drawing of male genitalia and a woman's face labeled Meg. The gallery owner called police, who found the thieves at a nearby supermarket. O'Hara had the jewelry, worth $6,000, in her purse. The 2 crooks were charged with felony, grand theft, and despite their juvenile guest book shenanigans, both were scheduled to be tried as adults.
Insecure thieves. Does this fucking mask make me look fat? In 2015, in Oldham, England, 2 men in a Ford Fiesta pulled up in front of a local security firm called iSecurity Solutions. Failing to realize that a security firm might have security cameras installed out front, they tried to break into one of the company's vans. The firm's owner, Qassar Mahmoud, watched the attempt theft on monitors in his office. "We were able to identify the criminals down to the writing on their clothes," Mahmoud bragged to the Oldham Chronicle. "It seems very comical to me that they would try and break into a security company van right outside its office." And finally...
Play money. Pamela Downs tried to pay for gas at a Tennessee filling station, but the clerk noticed something funny about the $5 bill she gave him. It was 2 sheets of photocopied paper glued together. The clerk called the cops, who arrived a few minutes later while Downs, 45, was still there. Officers confiscated the woman's purse and found a $100 bill inside. It was printed in black and white, and one of the sides was upside down. Downs claimed that counterfeiting wasn't a crime because she read it on the internet. Because everything's true on the internet.
Right. Her last name was Downs. That explains a lot.
Yeah. It turned out that she was referring to a 2009 news article titled, "Obama Wants Citizens to Print Their Own Money." that had been posted by the parody website The Skunk, which bills itself as tasteless American satire for the ill-informed.
And that, my friends, is Dumb Crooks. The running feat on the 2 articles is ancient red-haired mummies may actually be brunettes whose hair faded after death. And Irene Bogachu's, why are they, just, you know what, from now on, if someone has a stupid name, don't even talk with them.
Bogachu.
Irene Bogachu's claim to fame. She's the first person ever saved by the Heimlich maneuver in June 19th, 1974. And that, guys, as always,
bless you,
is my partners from portablepress.com, Uncle John's bathroom readers. And you can find them and all their stuff at portablepress.com. As I say always, they have all sorts of different kinds of books with all different kinds of trivia that you can sit and enjoy while you're pooping or just while you're trying to fall asleep and want to feel accomplished before you do so. As always, my other partners are, as I said earlier, Absolute Comedy. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America.
The sun gives life to the orchard. The orchard gives life to the apple. The apple gives life to Summersby. Summersby is a delicious sweet taste of sunshine, imported across the ocean, all the way from Denmark. The people in Denmark are smarter, and so are you, if you drink Summersby. With flavors like apple, blackberry, pear, elderflower lime, red rhubarb, and a taste as regal as this fake accent, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And now you can try them all in the Summersby Mixer Pack, available wherever fine beverages are sold. So go on and try for yourself the crisp, refreshing taste of Summersby. Your taste buds deserve it. Please drink resplendently.
And we're back, guys. And who did I forget? I forget the same person every single... I never forget.
You
them.
never
Are you kidding
forget,
me? I
DK.
don't kid him. It's just my cute little intro
He's
to
your
them.
bro.
DK, guys. Dorling Kindersley. This week I read a book. Mostly. It was a busy week. I mostly read it, but I can still give you the gist of the parts I didn't read. Is Eat Better, Live Longer. Understand what your body needs to stay healthy. And this book, I gotta say, I thought was going to be just another book. And not to say just another in a negative way, but just another book about, hey, here's some recipes of things that are good for you. This book is fucking awesome. As soon as I opened it up and started reading it, I'm like, this is not what I expected it to be at all. The book is actually, it tells you basically the kind of foods to eat to maintain your body's, proper DNA and to keep the effects of aging at a minimum. So the books, that sounds like a really stupid synopsis, but the book itself actually starts with a really cool section that's essentially just called What is Aging? So before it even starts talking about what to eat and whatnot, it actually talks about all sorts of different theories of aging and what happens to your body. Everything from, they call it ages formation, which I was like, oh, what's that? It stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. They have free radicals, DNA damage, and telomere shortening, which is basically telomeres are part of your the caps on your DNA strands and things like that slowly get shorter as you age, because every time they split, pieces of them go with other pieces. So it's basically as these shorten, so does your DNA or your molecules, whatever the fuck it is, cells, to the point where they just can't reproduce anymore and they die. So this book, again, it goes into a great section about just all the different things that you can do with your body to keep it, stave off. This book should really be called How to Not Age, or How to Slow Down the Aging Process.
How to Not Die Young.
But yeah, Eat Better, Live Longer. This basically is going through a big section about all the different things. There's even sections on like why you should wear sunscreen and things like that. Obviously non-GMO, It's not like spray yourself with Raid for the sun kind of thing, but there's a lot of different, everything from dealing with stress to getting enough sleep, obviously to reduce alcohol. I assume that's the one part that isn't true. When everyone attacks a medical thing, they go, nah, that's all bullshit. You're supposed to drink a glass of wine. A glass of wine is going to keep you young. Did you know that I think I mentioned this before, but did you know that the product in wine that's good for your heart, it's in such small doses in a glass of wine that the sugar and alcohol far outweighs negatively that benefit in the glass of wine?
Probably. I mean, the whole thing is like everything in moderation, right?
Right. Well, they have a section 2 that actually shows you the different parts of the world and the lifespans of them. So they actually tell you that I never heard this word before, so I actually had to run it through my head a couple times to find the right word. But Centenarians, did you know what that is? Mm-mm. Yeah, I didn't either.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, I understand.
Yeah. Well, that's basically what happened to me. I'm like, Centenar, what the fuck? Centaurs? Yeah. They have centaurs? Oh, 1,000. Oh, sorry, 100. I'm like, okay, yeah. How many 100-year-olds? So did you know that for every 100,000 people, Japan has 45 centenarians? Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah. No.
You knew that already?
Well, not like that specific number, but I knew that like
I knew that Asian people looked young forever.
Well,
that's why so many of this
longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in the more developed one, like Japan, for example. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Japan has the most in the world. For every 100,000 people, they have 45.3 centenarians. France is the second highest at 31. Italy at 28.
Yeah, it's because they're drinking all that wine, right? France.
I think that. Yeah, maybe. You think so?
We just proved our point.
Yeah. They're eating croissants, drinking wine, and eating cheese. Fuck this diet.
Yeah.
Je parle en français. I'm already halfway there.
Yep.
But that's cool. They have it, and it lists all the way down to, I think there's like 20 of them here. So Canada, we place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 9th in the world for centenarians. And guess what, though? The fattest fucking country in the world is right behind us by 0.1 difference. We're 19.5. They're 19.4.
Yeah, well.
So how about that theory? And then you think the Netherlands, they're doing good and they're happy people there. No, they're way down the fucking list. Anyways, who gives a shit? The point is, this book's got also that they have principles of a long and healthy life. They go into, again, everything just from weight loss to what you eat. And there is sections, of course, on foods. But I have been told by more than one of you that I do go on a little bit about DK books. This book, Eat Better, Live Longer, Understand What Your Body Needs to Stay Healthy, is very, very cool to check out. There's not many recipes in here. It's more about the foods themselves, but all sorts of different things in here in terms of what to eat, what exercise to do, how what you eat affects different parts of your body specifically, which is great. Not just, hey, it's a superfood, but like if you're like me and you've heard of antioxidants for 2 decades and have no idea what they actually do, it's a good book to check out. Anyway, so check that one out. I will have, as always, a link to get your copies on Facebook and Twitter and all that fun stuff. So that's it. Thank you to the sponsors, DK, Summersby Absolute Comedy, and PortablePress.com. This week, not a lot going on. I usually tell you guys what I got coming up. This week is a lot of Ubering. I'm going to be working on my LA trip. I'm there primarily for comedy and to do shows, and I'm trying to get some podcasts in, guys. But I do want to say, guys, write in contact at onemanpodcast.com and let me know if there's any places in Los Angeles that I should check out in terms of maybe touristy stuff. I've obviously considered doing the Universal Studios kind of thing, but I don't want to be too touristy and spend too much cash needlessly. But I'm staying in West Hollywood, so if anyone can make a suggestion there. Apparently Weird Al just got a star on the Walk of Fame. Aww. I saw that on Twitter the other day. So we've got Vanessa's little one. The team is here. Sorry. That's okay. If you guys can hear that background, be like, are they killing baby goats? No.
No, my son just came back from the park, so yeah, he's chatting away.
That's okay. So if you guys can hear that, but we're wrapping up. No need to apologize. Life happens around you, whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. He's still not as bad as when fucking Kamar and Jay are talking right outside the door when I'm recording.
So we probably won't even be able to hear him.
Can you guys hear that?
No, I can't ever.
You can never hear it. Fucking Auphonic's great for cleaning that up. When I'm doing it in the headphone, like what you're hearing, that's what I'm hearing when they're out in the hall, but just talking. Yeah. And I'm like, or when I hear them downstairs yelling, I'll like pound on the floor with my foot. But I guess Auphonic cleans all that up. Yeah, maybe. So you guys just hear me yelling at nothing. Yeah. But I'm like, but in my ears, it's like, shut the fuck up.
Sure, you have roommates, Josh.
Yeah. No, you're way too successful for that. No, I've got 4 of them. They're all over the fucking place. Different levels of inebriation, too. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so this week, all I got coming up, guys, a few LCBO tastings. I'm going to go check out the Red Blacks game on Friday. I've never been to an Ottawa Red Blacks game. That's cool. The Canadian Football League, our local team. Mm-hmm. They won the Grey Cup a few years back. So, out of like the 6 teams that play. Year? Oh, I don't know. I don't watch it.
I have a friend who plays for Calgary.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
We went to college together.
That's awesome. What's his name?
Oh my goodness, I'm blanking.
Wow.
Right now.
Good friends. He plays for Calgary. So listen, if you guys if any of you give a shit, you can Google the Calgary team and just know that one of those people is a very close friend of Vanessa's.
Well, no, like we worked on projects and stuff in high school. I totally remember his name every time, except for right when I need to, right? Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally have evidence that proves my innocence, Your Honor, just not with me right now. But yeah, so I've got tastings at Red Black Stain. I get to spend the day with Michaela on Saturday. She reached out and said she wants to hang out. I'm like, cool, you let me know when. So I get to hang out with the little lady. I always have a good time with her. But that's going to be my week, basically. At this point right now, I'm just gearing up, amping up money for the old the trip there. I was trying to think of what I was supposed to go out and get something today, and you reminded me of it earlier when we were chatting, and now I can't remember what it is. I don't even know if she knows I'm talking to her. She's on her phone right now.
I'm trying to find...
Who are you texting? Oh, you're trying to find your friend?
Yes.
You don't even remember his name?
I'm really totally blanking right now. It's because you have me on the spot.
It's your friend. You brought it up.
I know.
It's like I called you out or put you on blast. You fucking said it. I'm going to the Red Black team. And my buddy Jeff McKay, who's, we did an interview with the podcast. Jeff is the on-field talent.
Charleston Hughes.
Charleston Hughes?
Yeah.
That sounds like a made-up name.
No, it's a real name.
Okay.
He actually starts.
Charleston Hughes?
Yeah.
Did he come from Blood Money?
No, he's scary.
Yeah, it sounds like a scary name, but he sounds scary because he will put 12 attorneys on you. That's what that name sounds like to me.
No.
Charleston Hughes. You'll be hearing from all 19 of my attorneys.
He's good. He's been playing them for a long time with them for a long time.
What position does he play?
I don't know football that well.
You're crushing it right now with the name dropping.
I want to say linebacker, but I feel that's wrong.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Just say linebacker. Be confident.
Linebacker.
I can guarantee you that nobody's going to look, check into your facts. Maybe one. Actually, you know what? I got some listeners in Calgary might be like, the fuck did she just say?
Yeah. No, we went to.
He's the best place kicker we have.
We went to college together in the States. And we did. We worked on many projects together. We actually worked on a lot of projects together. And here's a shocker, guys. A football player who isn't that committed at school. So, I'd always get stuck in these projects with him. I'm like, stuck with Charleston again. But then my last project of the year, I don't know, I guess he decided he wanted to start doing better. And he was the best person in my group. And I was like, oh, thank you. You're really doing some great work.
Sounds like Coach Carter, one of those movies about the young kids who just couldn't put it through.
He's actually a pretty good kid. I mean, he's not a kid anymore.
Oh, sorry. I'm allergic to bullshit.
I know.
That's actually an old Jimmy line.
So it's not like somebody, I'm not saying he wasn't just somebody in my class and I knew his name kind of thing. We actually had conversations.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. You were able to have a conversation with an athlete.
Crazy. It's not like I wasn't an athlete.
You were a soccer player. You've been a soccer player as long as I've known you. Which is, to most people, they would say it's more of an arts drama kind of thing than it is actual sport.
That's like baseball.
You're basically running with a ball. You're like that kid who walks home from school and just keeps kicking the rock in front of him.
At least I'm running at all.
Yeah.
In baseball, what do you run? 100 yards most?
There's so many boring sports. Or
golf.
Oh, golf. You know what? The best drinking in the golf cart is my favorite part of golfing. I will go golfing and not swing a club all day. And I'm I went golfing today and it was the greatest. We just sit and get drunk in the cart.
True story.
No, but you're obviously you guys got to get going. I don't want to rope you into it, but you are a particularly accomplished soccer player.
Yeah. Well, I had a full ride to the States, so I must have been okay.
Damn. Humble brag of the week.
Well, it was 15 years ago.
I had a full ride to the States. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it was 15 years ago, so it doesn't count anymore.
Were you the team captain?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not that good.
Just trying to keep you humble. I didn't know. I really had no idea which way that answers. Obviously, I was the captain.
Duh.
Smacking bitches around. I don't know.
No.
I can't imagine what a soccer captain does. You slap somebody and be like, now fall hard and pretend like you were shot.
No.
Do you guys get away with that shit in lady soccer?
It doesn't happen as much in women's soccer.
Is there a
women's soccer is more aggressive, but less dramatic.
Bullshit. Really?
Yeah.
Women's anything less dramatic, I find difficult to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm right, but just soccer because you guys get out all your aggression on the ball.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to parlay it into some humor, but I'm just going to come across as
I haven't played soccer in like 15 years now. So
no,
yeah.
You still play?
Well, I played this summer, but that's like the only.
That's great though.
Yeah, but it's super beer.
Listen, I didn't who cares? I didn't lift weights for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm doing it this year. I'll give myself credit for them.
And I'm like, ah.
Did you not tell me on Saturday night that you're like deliberately sandbagging so the other moms in the fucking, you call it the beer league? there has to be like a lady name for beer league. Like just,
I don't know.
like perfume league or the pumps league or something like that.
I don't know. It's just fun. I just don't want all the drama.
But you said there was no drama.
There is no drama in this league. That's why I'm like, I don't play in any more competitive leagues, even though I probably could, because I just don't want to deal with all the people thinking that and all their egos.
Right. Was there drama back in college soccer?
Oh yeah, crazy.
Okay,
drama.
that's what I thought.
Crazy politics.
That's what I thought you were saying. There was no drama in that. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's why I haven't played since.
Okay.
But that's why I do the show jumping now, like with horses, right?
Yeah.
So
what?
Just something different, and it's not team sport anymore. It's just me doing my thing.
Is there any what kind of drama would exist in soccer at like the college level? Politics, I get. Politics, I'm sure there's politics in everything. But
well, it just depends who you play for, and what your coaches are like. Like our coaches were awful. They were like pitting us against each other, and they would tell you like, "Oh, you're really letting down the team. They all hate you, and blah blah blah. You better step it up."
Were the coaches men?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, but yeah, it's a long time ago.
It still sucks to be doing that to kids, especially like when they're trying to rock college at the same time. Like you're focused on your studies.
Far away from home. In that case, I was far away from home. You have like no support system there. You're depending on these people to be your new, family, new support system.
And they're telling you that everybody hates you.
And they're taking advantage of your vulnerabilities to like get what they think is going to be the best performance out of you. But like the reality is that you're not making it better. You're making it worse.
Yeah, of course. You can't tell kids, and effectively, as much as we want to act like we're fucking adults, we have Doug Stanhope has said, we have the oldest children in the world in this country. Like, we're not allowed to do anything for the longest time. So, like, you're down there and you're like, I can't even drink legally yet, but some guy's telling me to hate the only family that I have and how everyone hates me and all this. Plus, I got to focus on everything else. That sucks.
Yeah. So.
Well, you persevered anyways.
Yeah.
You just shrug, like, yeah, I guess.
It is what it is. It sucks that it had to end that way. Like, my career that I'd been playing since I was 7 years old. So it was tough when it ended that way, like that. But that's why I decided to do something different, completely different that, then I could enjoy it and, move on and because, I played at a super high level. I played, 3 hours a night, 6 nights a week, for as long as I could remember. And so there was no time for anything else. Right. And so finally I was like, wow, like I can do something different now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So.
Is there like a WNBA for soccer?
Yeah. Like you have the Fury here.
That's the girls team?
Well, I think there used to be a girls team.
Oh. This is not like me judging. I just don't know. So I'm like,
yeah. In London, I don't know if they're still there. They used to have the London Griffin. When I first moved to London, they asked me to play, but I was pretty out of shape by that point. And I was like, it's going to be a lot of effort to get me back to the place that I need to be. But so.
Well, at least you get to play for fun now. That's the main thing. If you're enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
Good.
Yay.
Well, that's, guys, if you want to tell me your stories, as always, contact at onemanpodcast.com.
Yeah, your stories of your glory days.
Anything. I don't give a fuck. I just want to know more about the people who are listening. So I've had a lot of fun this week. I'm glad we got to hang out a few times. Mm-hmm. I really don't know how long it's been since I've seen you last.
Yeah, it's
been a few years for sure, without question.
At least, yeah.
So it's good. I know the last time you were in town, we weren't able to link up, but I'm making more of a priority to find time for the people, especially from out of town, to be able to see you while you're here. Yeah. It's not always going to work. And I know for Cameron and Tiff, who are also London people and listeners of the podcast, I'm going to try to make it out to London at some point soon. I would say probably not before I go to Los Angeles, but maybe when I come back, I'll make a trip down there. I'll check out some venues. So if all three of you guys see a place that looks like it can hold like 100 people, even if it's a nice bar or something like that, let me know and I'll come down and I'll scope it out. And if we can do a show, I'll come do a show. I'll bring some of the other guys from here that are really funny, and we'll have a fucking time in London, Ontario. Gives me an excuse to see you guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, London's pretty cool, guys. Check it out.
Yeah. Apparently,
I moved there over anywhere else in Canada, pretty much. So.
Yeah, you considered every city, the ins and outs.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
So.
Guys, as always, thank you to the sponsors, portablepress.com, absolutecomedy.ca, summersby, and dk.com/ca in Canada, dk.com in the States, and just Google DK Books for anywhere else in the world. Check out all the stuff they got. Thank you for being a part of the podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. One Man Podcast. You will find us there. And as always, if you are listening to this, I have to keep saying it till I see more of the change. But if you guys are listening to this on Facebook, feel free to subscribe to it on either Android or Apple devices, whatever you have. If you don't know how, feel free to send me a message. But we are on iTunes, the podcast thing on Apple, and we're on Google Play Music on that. So that way you just hit subscribe. It helps the numbers. We can actually track it a lot easier than having to scroll through my Facebook posts and see how many views.
Facebook pretty much tracks everything else.
Yeah. And it'll even tell me
it'll
tell me on the video, like, here's how many people viewed it. But when I'm talking to partners and things, again, the more money I can get from partners and sponsors, the more I can go out and do alternatively and bring you much more interesting stories, I would think. But in order to track that, the best thing I can get you guys to do, just to help me out, is to subscribe to it. So that way the podcast comes to your device automatically. You can listen to it wherever you want. You don't have to be on Facebook, accidentally click on a link, and now it's navigated you away from the page. You have to restart it, or you just stop listening altogether. So if you need to know how, feel free to send me a message or an email. I've said the email address 100 times.
Contact at blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. Just lean on your keyboard. It'll get to me eventually. But just do that. And if you have 2 seconds to write a review of the podcast, it would mean the world. Just give it 5 stars and say, hey, Josh has a podcast. And I don't care what the review says.
He's kind of a big deal.
No, you don't have to praise me at all. Just give me the stars. That bumps me up higher on lists when people search comedy sections and things like that. So
give me all your stars.
Yeah, I hate to beg for your subscriptions and ratings and things like that, but it helps the podcast out. So I appreciate the fact that you guys listen every week. I love you very much for being there. Red, thanks for being a part of the podcast this week. I had fun. I hope that the listeners will have enjoyed this too.
Yeah, we kind of got dark near the end there, but
did we? We picked
it up.
All the time something will come out of my head that I didn't think I was going to be talking about. Like there was 2 weeks ago I had an episode where I just started telling this dark. I don't even remember what the story was.
But
I was like,
you and was like, oh yeah, I'm about to slip my wrists over here.
Yeah. Well, there's all sorts of things that I just didn't expect, but they pop into my head while I start talking, and then I go, oh, well, here's a story.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, you're the best. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening to the One Man Podcast. I'll be back next week with episode number 69, dudes.
Bye.
We'll talk to you guys then. Have a good week.